today, on tomorrow. My name is Gary Thurman, CEO and founder of Guardian Investment Advisors. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with us on our show today. Every single week, we try to bring you education, great advice on pre-retirement planning and post-retirement planning. But this show is going to be very interesting today because we're going to talk about things other advisors are not seeing, they're not talking about. Because we feel in your early 30s, 40s, and 50s, growth should be a big part of the conversation. But when you hit that age around 59 and a half, 60, 61 years old, things need to change. We need to start talking about longevity risk and income planning and tax planning and Medicare planning, so many different things. And what Bobby and I are going to do today is really break some of these things down for you. And I just mentioned his name, Bobby Futch. Bobby, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Gary. Happy to be here.
I want to start today's show telling you my Bobby story. Bobby's like, oh, no.
I don't know where this is going.
So it was interesting. Several years ago, another advisor friend of ours, you were working with him at another firm, and we went down and we had breakfast, and he brought Bobby with him to the breakfast. And Bobby and I just hit it off right at the very beginning. I never forget, Bobby, I called Rhonda when I left there. I said, by the way, I just found my new advisor. And the reason for that is Bobby brings such knowledge to our firm, and he's been such a great addition. He's about to celebrate his 2-year anniversary with us. So I just want to say, Bobby, thank you.
Thank you, Gary. It's been awesome being here.
A lot of fun, huh?
Yes, sir.
Things have changed. I got Bobby on TV now. So,
that's right.
So let's talk about an industry problem, Bobby, what most advisors are not talking about, because I know you and Tim in Chattanooga, Brogan up in Knoxville, so many people come in, and the advisor they're currently with, or their old advisor, if you will, all they talk about is growth, accumulation. Why is that an issue?
Yeah, really, it's part of like the old way that advisors used to do it.
The old school way.
And unfortunately, still so many people do it. It's so easy, especially, I know well in the Chattanooga area, there are so many advisors in the Chattanooga area. I don't even call them advisors. I call them asset managers.
I like that.
Right, and they're good at doing that, but they're focused on one thing. When you come in and meet with them, they're going to talk about rates of return. They're going to talk about asset allocation. You know, they're going to show you bar charts and pie graphs. And you know how I know this, Gary? I used to be one of those guys.
That was you. That's why I told my Bobby story.
I used to be one of those guys, and that's really the selling point. Is, hey, did we hit a certain benchmark this quarter? Or, you know, did we say what the rate of return we said might be, work out that way? That's one piece of the financial planning puzzle, right? There's so much more to it. And if you truly have a comprehensive advisor, I'm not dismissing that. That's very important.
Growth is important.
Growth is important, especially in a pre-retiree mindset. But listen, we talk about our red bucket all the time. Retirees need a red bucket.
You need money in the market.
They need growth. But they need to have a lot more other pieces that go into a big plan, and that's what Guardian does.
Yeah, I love that. So Brogan and I were meeting with a client, Bobby, a couple of weeks ago up in Knoxville, and we were talking about this very thing because, you know, per their statements, we knew what had been going on. So I asked a simple question. I'm like, so what is your current advisor, what conversations have you had about Social Security planning? And this was his answer. He goes, he just told me to turn it on when I was ready.
Yeah.
He just told me to turn it on when I was ready. I mean, 70%, you're going to need probably about 70% of your portfolio on top of your Social Security to make sure you have an optimal and you have a great retirement and live every day like a Saturday. Why are other brokers or big box firms, as we call them, why are they not talking about Social Security planning?
You know, it's really complicated, and you really have to get in the weeds with each individual client to figure out what that client's optimal Social Security strategy is. You know, there's 500 and some odd different ways you can file Social Security.
Correct, yeah.
Right, it's really hard to understand which one of those options is good for your client unless you sit down and talk through all this planning with them. It's so easy if you're an advisor that's trying to get the greatest rate of return or trying to get the biggest numbers on a statement. Well, I'm going to pick the biggest number. I'm just going to tell you to wait, right? You get the most money at 70. Why wouldn't you take the most money? Well, there's a lot of reasons why you might not do that.
But give me a few.
Well, one, if you're retired in your 60s and you're waiting until age 70 to turn on Social Security, the bills don't stop.
That's right.
You need to get money from somewhere. So you're going to pull money out of your retirement account so they can't grow for 20 or 30 more years just to defer Social Security, get an 8% roll up. The math doesn't check out a lot of times for folks.
I'm going to give you another one at health. What is your health like?
That's right.
You know, do you have longevity in your genes? Are you healthy? Are you not healthy? Because if you're not healthy, you probably do want to wait as long as you can because the surviving spouse is not going to get both Social Securities. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a big one, and that is right. And so your spouse needs to be in this calculus too. You know, did they work? Is their earning records as strong as yours? You know, we often see that one spouse, you know, was the breadwinner in the family financially. One may have stayed home and worked in the house. Maybe they don't have as strong of a Social Security benefit. So it's a really complicated situation.
So you telling me if I come in with my 401k statement and I slide it across the table to you, Bobby, and I say, Social Security, it doesn't matter. That's going to be such a small portion of what we do. Not correct.
That's absolutely incorrect. It's got to be the cornerstone of an income plan.
Yeah. Why average returns can be misleading when you're talking withdrawals. I love that.
This is huge. We focused on this pretty heavily a couple weeks ago. An average return is just that, right? You take 15, 20 years, you add them all up, you divide by the number of years, that gives you your average return. What people don't talk about is what we call sequence of return risk, and it's huge. If you have all the losing years early in retirement and all the great years when you're later in retirement, well, you took all those losses, so now those gains aren't as impactful because you got a lot less money that's going to grow. And so you can take those and flip-flop them and order them each way you want and get the same average rate of return. What people need to be talking about is what return numbers happen in what year in retirement.
I got a pretty good slide for this, a chart for this. You know, assets versus income planning, because I think it's big. Assets feel good, income feels safe, because you got $1.2 million in your account. Well, what's your pension going to be? Do you even have a pension? What's your Social Security going to be? Do you have an annuity? The whole goal here, Bobby, to maintain a great retirement is creating an income that you cannot outlive.
And you know exactly where it's going to be every month when you need that money. That's the important part. And you're not so much worried about the sequence of return risk because you have guaranteed income streams in retirement.
So what we're trying to say here is your portfolio is not your plan. Your income is your plan. Your portfolio is not your plan. Your income is your plan. I mean, longevity risk is real, Bob.
It is real. And it's getting, I want to say it's getting worse. People are living longer and longer.
Yeah.
And people continue to do that. So retirement now, you know, when Social Security was first put out in the 30s, not a whole lot of people lived to Social Security
and
age.
most people had a pension.
And most people had a pension. Now you're outliving Social Security age by decades at some point.
Right.
And you probably don't have a pension unless you're one of the 15% that still do. You need to fill that income gap in retirement, and it's on you to make sure you can do that.
Yeah, I think that's a big way to close this first segment. Bobby just mentioned 15% of folks out there retiring today. 3 million people are retiring in 2026. So that means 450,000 of you are going to have a pension and Social Security. That's a beautiful thing. Congratulations. That means there's millions of people who don't have a pension. So you need an income strategy. You need a strategy that will be there for your life and your spouse's life. You need an income strategy that may help you, God forbid, if you get sick down the road and you're one of the 70% that need long-term care. I would invite you to call us at 423-803-6181. Come in and see Tim and Bobby in our Chattanooga office. Come in and see Brogan Walters up in our Knoxville office. Let's put an income strategy put for you so your retirement can be exactly what you want. Your lifestyle can be what you want, so you can live every day like a Saturday. Like I said, give us a call, 423-803-6181. You can also scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen and get a copy of my book, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. We'll send the book right out to you absolutely free. Read the book, then come and see our advisors. Let's put an income strategy in place for you. There's a lot of other things that other advisors are not talking about. We're going to jump into that on our next segment. Stay tuned.
We know the market is going to get worse from here. This is the biggest monthly decline in 10 years. People's 401ks took a major hit.
Well, my investments are tanking. My retirement isn't going as planned. I can't believe I let my kid talk me into buying crypto. I mean, what is that anyway?
This was the fourth worst contraction in history.
So how are you two doing?
Your financial future doesn't have to be uncertain. I'm Gary Thurman with Guardian Investment Advisors. If you've amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. All of our advisors are fiduciaries that specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and more. Plan your retirement right. Call now for your own complimentary portfolio review and tax analysis. Welcome back to Plan Today on Tomorrow. Gary Thurman, CEO and founder, and your host on Plan Today on Tomorrow. I'm here with my good friend and advisor, Bobby Futch. And Bobby, we're really into a great conversation today, talking about what other advisors are not talking about. I want to ask our viewers a question right now. When is the last time you went in to see your advisor that you're currently working with, and they talked to you about income planning, healthcare planning, Medicare planning, tax planning, legacy planning? Have you had those conversations? Because so many people are coming into our office, watch our TV show, hear our radio show. Their advisor's not talking about that. They're just talking about the numbers on the chart. They're talking about growth, growth, growth. Again, we think you need growth, but Bobby, you have to talk about taxes, income, healthcare, Medicare, long-term care, legacy planning. It's so important because all those pieces go into your retirement process.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I've got a young 7-year-old daughter at home. We like to do jigsaw puzzles together. You know, you got to make sure all those pieces fit together, right, to get the big picture. That's how a jigsaw puzzle works. Retirement's really the same. And making sure you have a conversation and somebody understands how they all fit together is absolutely paramount. And I think the biggest one here that's often lacking with other advisors is that healthcare planning.
Sure.
And that's why it's so important to me when I help people that we have Tanner Moore in our office, because we can figure that out. Because the one thing that can can roll your retirement plan off track the quickest is healthcare planning. Right?
The highest inflated program we have out there, about 5% a year on average.
And people are living longer, so they're getting sick more often. Medicare is getting more complicated. It's getting more expensive to the point you just made. You need to make sure you understand how your health care is going to be covered in the future moving forward, because it feeds directly into your financial and income plan.
But Bobby, I've got Medicare. It's going to cover all my health care costs.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Gary, that's not right.
Oh, darn.
That's just not right. And Medicare is an important process, right? You need to make sure you go through Medicare. Obviously, don't take the penalty. Everybody paid their Medicare taxes. Take that coverage. But you have to understand what Medicare really is, and that way you can identify the gaps that are on the backside of that Medicare coverage, because they're significant.
Oh, they're big.
They're significant.
So, Bobby, we have folks come in and see you, Tim, and Brogan up in Knoxville, and maybe they've got $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, $5 million. We got people all over the board, right? Fidelity did that study that a 65-year-old person retiring today, right now, if you're one of those 3 million retiring right now, you could spend over $172,000 just in general health care. Now, you've got $500,000 in your portfolio. 172.5 of that is just going for your health care. That's not counting times 2.
That's right.
Healthcare planning has to be a part of your conversation.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Income. We talked a couple weeks ago about paychecks and playchecks.
Yeah, you got to have that, right?
That's a paycheck issue, right? You need to make sure that that's taken care of. And as inflation for healthcare ramps up, I'm afraid that number is just going to be bigger and bigger. So you need to make sure that that's taken care of in a guaranteed way in your entire retirement plan.
So out of the 10 folks watching our show today, I hope there's a lot more than that, but let's take 10 of you. Bobby, 7 out of those 10 people are going to need some type of long-term care. And we know in the state of Tennessee, in-home care is about $2,500 a month. Assisted living is about $5,000 a month. Alzheimer's, or call it full skill care, about $10,000 a month. That's on top of Fidelity's $172,500 per person.
That's right.
That could devastate your retirement.
It absolutely can. And, the traditional way people have taken care of this is either, be independently wealthy and be able to self-insure.
Which we have that.
We have a handful of clients that can do that. That's not everybody.
Right.
And so there are good ways to do this now that aren't traditional long-term care policies. If you've got one, let's review it. I'm probably going to tell you to keep it, because you can't replace it now for what you got it for back then. Even with all the rate increases you're getting, and you're probably getting them every year.
Sure.
We see this every year, Gary. Somebody comes in and says, it's a lot more expensive. Should I keep it? And the answer, unfortunately, is yes for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
But there are such great tools now in the marketplace available to secure that income, that paycheck.
Yep.
And if you happen to get sick, God
keyword.
forbid, there's an additional benefit that'll help care for that.
So, Bobby, someone comes to you, brand new client, they watch our TV show, they listen to our radio show, they see us on social media. My advisor has never mentioned Roth conversions. That should throw up red flags everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely you should, because people get tired of hearing me and Brogan and Tim talk about Roth conversions. Now is what I call like the golden age of Roth conversions. One, we know we're in the third lowest income tax bracket we've ever been in. We're locked into that till the end of 2028. That may be extended, but we know we have a window. We've got an additional deduction for if you're over 65.
Right.
You know, a 65-year-old gets an extra $6,000 deduction.
Big.
So you're locked into paying super cheap taxes now. May not seem like that when you file your income taxes, but go ahead and prepay some of those taxes. It makes sense for most people we talk to.
I love you just brought up a question. You just made me think of another question. What's the difference between filing your taxes and tax planning?
Yeah, that's a huge one. That's a huge one. And I got a lot of CPA friends, so I'm not throwing rocks at CPAs or accountants. But oftentimes, you know, when we get our income taxes done every year, that's tax filing, right? They're taking the information you provide to them, putting them on a federal or state form, and filing them for you. And most of those guys have kind of been trained, you know, by their clients to try to get that tax number down as low as they can.
So they're looking in the rear view mirror.
They're looking in their rear view mirror. I want to pay as little as I can. Tax planning is just the opposite. Tax planning is going, okay, I know what it is this year. What's it potentially going to be next year, 5, 10, 20 years down the road?
So they're looking out the front window?
You're looking out the windshield of your car and saying, I see that tax crash coming. And I don't think that's being too dramatic.
No.
But we can go ahead and plan for those things moving forward. Oftentimes it means paying a little bit more now.
Yeah.
But I just said we're at the third lowest rate. You're going to have to pay those taxes anyway. Why not pay them when they're cheap?
Are your legacy, your children, grandchildren, your church, whatever, they're going to have to pay them. So let's end this segment with this question in the Wall Street Journal on April 20th. Which retirement account is best for your savings, Bobby? Traditional or Roth IRAs?
I love when people ask me questions like this because I can just avoid an answer entirely and say it depends. Right? It depends on your specific situation, but often the answer to that is going to be maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, sure.
Right now, because of the tax window we're in, it makes sense for a lot of folks to be investing in a Roth. You know, let's go pay those taxes knowing that the likelihood that you're going to have to pay more when you pull those assets out in retirement, when you need them the most, tax rates are going to be higher.
I love that. I have a question for you viewers watching out there today. If your advisor is only managing your money, who's managing your retirement plan? Who's putting all of the pieces together? When we come back on our third segment, we're going to talk about why Guardian is a little bit different and why we do cover all of these different things for you, because we think it's vital that you have a written plan to make sure when these things happen, market volatility, death, divorce, unfortunately, things happen in retirement years just like they do in your early years. We need you to be prepared. I would invite you to give us a call at 423-803-6181. Come in and see Bobby and Tim in Chattanooga. Come in and see Brogan Walters up in Knoxville. Let's start putting a plan together for you so you can live every day like a Saturday. Again, 423-803-6181. The only thing it's going to cost you is a little bit of time. And I'd always like to offer you my book, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. You can scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen or go to plantodayoffer.com. We'll send the book right out to you absolutely free. So when we come back on our last segment, please stay tuned. We're going to talk about why Guardian is a little different and why we take a team approach to your retirement planning. We'll be right back. The big beautiful bill has changed the game for retirement planning, from lower taxes to extended planning windows to opportunities for Roth conversions. This bill is packed with benefits if you know how to use them. But here's the catch. The window won't last forever. Will future taxes hurt you in retirement? Go to plantodaytaxbill.com. Welcome back to Plan the Day on Tomorrow. Gary Thurman, founder and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. Thank you for taking the time to watch our show today. The show's been interesting today because we've been talking about what other advisors are not talking about. So many other advisors, so many other big box stores, they just worry about your growth, your accumulation. And yes, that is so important for your retirement planning. But once you get into that 60 plus range, now we start changing our focus a little bit. We start thinking about preservation, income planning, tax planning, Medicare and healthcare planning, maybe some legacy planning. And Bobby, I want to spend the last few minutes of our show talking about how we approach things differently, because you and I talk about this all the time. It's one of our favorite things to talk about. Defining rich. Defining the word rich in retirement. I got a cool slide to put up here for you guys to look at right now. Rich means confidence and freedom, time and no guilt.
I love this too. And traditionally, when you talk about somebody being rich, you think they just got a whole bunch of money.
I wanna be rich. Remember that song? I'm showing my age now,
There
sorry.
you go. One of my favorite parts about talking with clients and prospects is, what do you want your retirement to look like?
What does your lifestyle want to be?
What kind of lifestyle do you want in retirement? You know, what do you want to do with your time, with your wealth in retirement? And being able to do those things confidently and guilt-free makes those folks rich.
You know, Tim says all the time, spending money guilt-free.
That's right.
He says it all the time.
We have clients that spend $5,000 a month and they're living their best life. We've got clients that spend $15,000 a month and could spend more if they had it, right? It's not about the number. It's about how you can take what you've managed to work your life for and use to make sure the lifestyle that you want is secure.
So being
That's
rich
really
in
what it's
retirement,
about.
it's not just the number of on your statement.
That's right.
There's so much more to that. But I think this was interesting, Bobby. Back in 2024, Americans 65 plus spent about $61,432 annually on average, with housing, transportation, food, healthcare making up for the major categories. Over $61,000 to pay the essential. We're not talking about play money. We're not talking about fun money. The essentials, over $61,000. Inflation's there, buddy.
Yeah, it really is. And that's not going to get any cheaper, that $61,000 number. It's here to stay. It's not going to go down. I can promise you that. Deflation is an ugly thing. We don't want that. But that's okay, right?
Yeah.
We've got a number.
Yeah.
We can plan for it. And that's what we've been talking about all segment today, is how do we make sure that the goals that you have in retirement are reachable,
Sure.
and they're guaranteed, and you can live guilt-free doing that.
They're doable.
That's right.
Right, they're doable. And the thing at Guardian that we focus on, I like to use this word, clarity. You know, Bobby just said, you walk into retirement knowing what you need to cover this, this, and this. We want you to have clarity walking into retirement. And that's why I think our bucket system works so easily, because people just see it. They're like, oh, okay, we're not just talking about growth, growth, growth. We're talking about all of these different things in one written income plan. I think clarity is a big deal. Being rich in retirement means a lot of different things, folks. Being rich means having that freedom, spending money when you want to spend money, spending money on what you want to spend money on. But one thing that I think a lot of other advisors are not talking about as well, Bobby, is estate planning. And that's one of the things you're an expert in.
Yeah, it's important. In a past life, you know, I did a lot of that, and so I can bring a lot of expertise to our current clients. And I could spend hours talking about estate planning. I think the important parts here is everyone needs to have an estate plan. Everyone needs to have a proactive estate plan.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have one, the state has one for you. And in our viewing area in Tennessee and Georgia, it's not a very good plan.
No, it's not.
Right? And so do your family a favor. Have at least a will. Have some power of attorneys. Have maybe a trust put together. I'd love to have a conversation with you about whether that's appropriate for you. But if you don't do it for you, do it for your kids and your heirs.
I love that.
Because that really provides them some peace of mind.
Does everybody need a will?
Yes, absolutely. Everyone should have a will.
Does everybody need a trust?
Not everyone needs a trust.
Okay.
It depends on your particular situation. It depends on your individual goals. And it's not about a dollar figure either, Gary. Right? I can't say if you have $1 million or more, you need a trust or not.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. It just depends on what your end goals are. And again, those are different for everybody.
All right, I'm going to throw some bullet points at you, and you give me your 2 cents after each one. Guardian difference discussion. I'm going to call this the Guardian difference discussion. Having a written income plan.
Yeah, it's important because an income plan is something that changes as you go through retirement. So being able to keep up with it, say, hey, is this working out the way we'd planned? Are expenses going up? Has anything changed in your life? You have to have it written down in order to track all that.
Tax efficient withdrawal strategies.
Absolutely massive. We harp on taxes all the time. Taxes are going up. And so you need to make sure you can get as much money out of Uncle Sam's pocket and into yours in retirement, because I can guarantee you can spend it better than he can.
That's right. Social Security timing conversation.
Yeah, it's all about optimizing your Social Security. Not maximizing necessarily, but optimizing it to make sure it fits the best in your plan.
Medicare planning guidance through Tanner Moore in our office.
Huge. Come see Tanner Moore. It's not going to cost you any more than a 1-800 number or a website. We can sit down and make sure it fits with your doctors, with your prescriptions, and then he can work really closely with Tanner, Brogan, Tim, and I to make sure your medical is covered in your financial plan.
Long-term care and legacy planning conversations.
Big long-term care is expensive, and it's being used by more and more people. So if you overlook it, you're going to have a big hole in your retirement plan.
And I love this one, portfolio management based on retirement goals, not just performance.
Yeah, you don't need to take any more risk than you need to meet your goals. And so if you're with a big box store that's just focused on returns, that's how they're going to measure their worth. And taking more risk than you need to can have a devastating effect on your retirement.
So one more at you. The goal is not just to grow your money. The goal is to help make the money work for your retirement that you want.
That's exactly right. And that's different for everybody.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
You're not just a number on a page or a statement.
So I think what we're trying to say here is that obvious choice is not the firm with the biggest commercials. It's not the firm that sponsors football stadiums and different things like that. It's the firm that actually listens to you. They give you clarity. They give you decisions that you can make together as a married couple or just a single person. We're going to help you. We're going to guide you. We're going to hold your hand to make sure you step into retirement confidently and have that clarity in retirement. Guys, listen, give us a call, 423-803-6181. Come in and see Tim and Bobby in Chattanooga. Come in and see Brogan Walters up in Knoxville. Let's put a written plan together for you. And as always, we offer you my book, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. You can scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen or go to plantodayoffer.com. We'll send it right out to you absolutely free. Bring the book in with you when you come in to see Tim and Bobby in Chattanooga or Brogan in Knoxville. Let's give you an income plan that you can't outlive. Let's give you clarity in retirement. Let's give you peace of mind in that final stages of life, which is called retirement, because it's going to last 20, 25, 30 years. We're here to help. We'll see you next week on Plan Today, Own Tomorrow.